Mike,
Oh,
you
I'm
were
kind of nervous.
the make money online guy, right? That's what you were known for. You had millions of followers on social media, 800,000 on YouTube. You built multiple businesses, you traveled the world, and then you almost parted ways with all of that to go on a journey of finding God. Can you tell me like what led to that?
I think I think it's something that like I wasn't trying to find. I think it was something that so much pain kind of like pushed me towards. I mean, man, you like see that, bro. Like we were on calls and you saw sides of me that like no one has really seen before, right? And I think something happens to a person's soul when they kind of like reach some type of um, pain where there's like literally no other choice but to kind of like ask other questions. And I was just kind of like running out of options, right? It kind of reminds me of like when you create content and you're like, all right, let me go ahead and throw a bunch of stuff on the wall and like see what sticks. And then you tried everything and you're like, okay, that doesn't work, that doesn't work, that doesn't work. I haven't tried that. I haven't tried this face on the thumbnail. Maybe let me go and try that. Maybe it might hit. I feel like I've tried so much things on the spiritual side, so much things on the hedonistic side, so much things on the substance side. I was like doing all these like modalities, and I was like, oh, here's this like religion thing that seems like it's been existing for thousands of years. That's weird. I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, let's see where it goes. And yeah, bro, it's like it was. I knew it was weird and unlike anything else that I would ever do because every single time in the past, like I would go ahead and join these communities for some type of like ulterior motive. There was always like some type of ulterior motive. So I was like, oh, let me do spirituality and become vegan because look at all these vegan babes, right? Or, oh, yeah, like let me go ahead and study, like for example, like, I don't know, things about how to network with people and climb to the top for like status and power because status and power is cool. Like, I want to be cool. I want to go to the clubs. I want to pop bottles. I want to like dance with a sprinkler like fire thingy. I want like girls around the table and then like guys looking at me like, yeah, that guy's cool in a suit. Um, like I knew for this one time, like there was no ulterior motive when I'm literally just like in a Bible study and there's just like me and a bunch of like 70-year-olds and 60-year-olds and 50-year-olds and 40-year-olds. And I'm just like, yo guys, and I'm there with like my blue blockers. Sometimes I'm like in the darkness because I don't want anyone to like know who I am. I'm like having this like huge blue blocker. You've seen my blue blockers. I don't know if I have it. It's like up there. And bro, it was weird because it's like a lot of them they were going through a lot of like suffering, and I just found myself like learning a lot from these people that suffered for like decades longer than I did, and a lot of it was like very very apparent, and it made me realize like what's actually important when we're in our 70s in our 80s, right? So I started diving deeper, and I mean this, right? It's like I was like always curious about like religion. I was always asking like my friends about you know books like the Quran or like the Hadiths or like all that stuff. Like I was always asking my friends in Bali about like, oh yeah, like Chinese philosophy and stuff like that. But I've never actually like went and just had my own, I guess, relationship with God, right? Like take away all the labels. Like what is my relationship with God, right? And at first it feels weird, bro, because it's like you're talking to this thing this being that I don't even know how to describe it. It's like you're talking, nothing's coming back at you, so you kind of like have to like look at signs, and you're like, is this working? Is this not working? I don't know. Like I literally don't know, and it's almost like this trusting thing that like I'm talking to this entity that I don't know if they're listening or not. And I even just sound like crazy even saying this out loud. But I guess in that moment, like, I was just like trusting. One thing was things just started moving in the direction that I wanted to with less of my control, which is weird because like I find myself someone that wants a lot of control, right? I think it's because when I was younger, I had no control. So I was like, okay, money, power, status, I get control, and control will make me feel safe, my family safe. And here I now have to trust that actually, when I let go of control, that life will just get better. It's weird, right? Because everything's like, oh, you need a like hustle, you need to grind. No one's gonna save you. Like that's kind of like the entire theme, I guess, in like social media. No one's gonna save you, right? But it was weird, bro. It's like I literally did nothing, and it was like so much beauty just started happening in my life, and I was like, oh, this is weird. Let me just keep on, I guess, like surrendering towards this direction. So I think it's weird when you have a lot of friends that remember you as a certain way, and whenever you got go on like this truth seeking mission, you kind of have to like play around with who you actually are when you're not trying to pander to your friends, which is like hard. And then yeah, bro, I think that that's what led me to be like, all right, let me just go ahead and go back to nature, right? Let me just go ahead and unplug. Like what's my mind like when I'm not? And then, bro, and then this thing happens where it's like, so I was having all these like frenetic thoughts, and then I started observing those frenetic thoughts, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And then you start kind of like detaching yourself from those thoughts, and then you're just like in nature, and there's like no Wi-Fi, there's no mobile connection. You're just looking at the ants walking, and you're like eating from the tree, and then you're just like, damn, this silence thing is like nice. It's like nice after a while. And then yeah, man, like I can't say that, oh yeah, like I talked to God and all that's like I don't wanna claim anything. I just know that when I'm unplugged, I'm in nature, I have a journal, I have my notes, I've people around me that have no idea who I am. I'm just like this dude that people generally when I meet like think I'm homeless. I just tell people I'm like a freelancer. I'm like, yeah, I'm a freelancer, like in between clients. Uh, man, it feels nice, bro. It feels nice. Like dude, I became friends with this girl that sold me coconuts. She was like 50 years old, and I'm just like chilling with her for a couple hours. It's like in the middle of the day on a Tuesday, and I'm like, these are really good coconuts, lady. Thank you. It's just like I don't know, man. It's like I think I think life is very, very beautiful, and I think we don't really see it until it's too late, right? That's kind of like the motto. So everything that I'm doing now, right? It's just like really see it as like how beautiful life is like now, right? Because bro, we're gonna blink, dude, and it's like all of these beautiful memories that we postponed is just like the only things that we'll have to cling on to, right? So that's I guess, dude. What was the question you asked me, bro?
No, that was so perfect. And actually, this is something I think about so much is we get sucked into this hustle culture where, and regardless of like wanting to be an entrepreneur, it could be your 9 to 5 job where we're just grind, grind, grind. And we don't take a second to go, wait, where am I? What's around me? Like, and we take all of these small things we have for granted, right? Our health, our family, and we chase these things that we think will bring us happiness, right? Okay, once I hit this number in my business, then I'll be happy. Once my body looks this way, then I'll be happy. But what happens is then we get to that and then we just move the goalpost and we move the goalpost and then we blink. And like you said, we're 80 years old and we've just been moving the goalpost and never actually took a second to be present with what we have and appreciate what we have. And then when we lose it, we just hold the regret because we never had the presents. We never were grateful for our parents because we never took the time to actually spend and enjoy with them.
Hmm. You know, it's like really, really weird, right? It's like you can't just like opt out either, right? Like, because on the other end of things, I'll just play like devil's advocate. It's like I literally couldn't have just stayed at home in my mom and dad's house, just like appreciating them as a dropout of dental school, right? It's like in our DNA to literally leave the home to go fight the dragons, to go ahead and go to war, to go ahead and experience life in almost like so many different extremes, just to literally go ahead and come back home, right? Like, but you can't not leave home, right? You can't just be like,
Yeah.
oh, like, oh yeah, I'm just not gonna work, and it's weird, bro. It's like the more I like study a lot of this stuff, especially because as I'm like been reading like more ancient texts, the more kind of oxymoron-y it is, where it's like things really don't make sense, and then it's kind of like the yin and the yang thing, where it's like everything kind of like ebbs and flows, and it literally almost just like it's like the alchemist too, where it's like the answer was in the home that he left, but he couldn't appreciate it if he never actually went out of his home. And it seems
Yeah.
like that's just the life that we have to live, right? Like what arc that we're in. Like I could even come back in a year or two from now and be like, oh, that Mike was wrong. What was he doing? Just like opting out of entrepreneurship for like a little bit, right? He's weak. He's eating tempeh and soy. That's what happened.
Yeah. It's like there's this really hard balance we have to strike where if we fully go to one side where it's like, oh, live in the moment, be super grateful for what you are, we have then no hunger to achieve things that will give us a better life. I think that is the dilemma of the what I would call the becoming successful. The dilemma is how do I get the things I want and then appreciate them and be present in it, right? It's like you can't spend every year traveling around with your parents if you didn't end up sacrificing, a lot of time to go ahead and build successful businesses. So I guess how do we strike the balance? How do we balance
Mm.
these two polar opposites?
One thing that I found like a lot, because I realized, dude, I like at the end of the day, like you're interviewing me. I still don't know nothing, right? But what I do know is wealth, power, status, hunger, greed, pride, envy, ambition. They're like not new, right? They've been around. So I started like looking into this because I was talking to, like some mentors, and crazy enough, like I had two mentors really get like screwed. Like one mentor, I looked to him, and I still look up to him like so much, and I respect him so much. I love him so much. Uh, I talked to him, and he's like, "Yep." So I lost 95% of my net worth today, and I was like, "What happened?" And he was essentially telling me what happened, where he had so much money in terms of like a nest egg. He had so much money in terms of a cash flow. He was super, super free. He just moved to like this new country, surrounded by nature. And he told me, he's like, Mike, when I met you, that's when I felt like the best, the most freest, the lightest. Like, that's when my life was like really, really, really good. And I asked him, I was like, what was the thought that went into your mind that started swinging you off that balance, kind of like what you were talking? And he was like, sitting there, he's like, yeah, when I was like there, I had all this freedom and I had all this time and all this money. And eventually, after a while, I got bored. And the thought of I could build something eternal, I could build something where my name will stand, I could build a legacy, I could build something where Like my kids will enjoy this, right? And I was like, what? So that thought like screwed you up? He's like, yeah. Like I blinked, and before you know it, I had like hundreds of staff. I had huge burn rates. I moved between locations, and it took 12 trucks to move my stuff. I started attracting the wrong women, and one of them screwed me over. I ended up having a kid with her on accident, and it was just like downward spiral, downward spiral, downward spiral, and then 95% of his net worth like gone from either legal battles, uh, the situation with his girl, his property, and same thing happened to another mentor too. He's like, yeah, it's like I almost died. Something happened to my brain. I realized all of this stuff didn't matter. So I sold everything. I'm super light. He personally just keeps it all into now like just crypto because he's like, I realized I needed to go and move things. He had like gold. He was like one of those preppers too. So he had like all of these things. And when he almost died because something happened with his head, he's like, bro, it's like none of that even mattered. And then I asked him the exact same thing, and he said the exact same thing. It's like there's something more. And then I started looking at like I was like, where does this show up in history? It happens in a lot of like ancient literature. So this there's like this monkey king, right? Where he essentially started learning martial arts, like super fun. He's going on adventures with his friends. He starts leveling up. Everything's all like innocent. He's growing skills. He's there with his friends, and it's like the period where it's like, oh, this is fun, right? And then he starts getting more powerful, more powerful, more powerful, and then before you know it, he's like the most powerful being in all of Earth. He's like, I want to carve my name in the heavens. So he literally goes and tries going up, and he's like fighting with like the gods, right? In this, I think it's like Hinduism or Buddhism or something. And then no, it was a Buddhism because essentially what happened is because he had so much time and freedom, he wanted to carve his name in the heavens. And essentially what happened was Buddha smited him, and he got stuck underneath a rock for 500 years until he learned how to humble himself, and to essentially the most powerful being in this story had to serve this like homeless priest on his mission to like save some scrolls, right? Or you have like in the Bible, the Tower of Babel, where it's like the world was filled with wealth and peace, and it existed in like harmony and rhythm, and everything was just peaceful. And then after enough peace, like man tends to get bored, and they're like, oh, maybe we should build a building that like touches the heavens, right? And we're gonna do it not to honor God, but we're gonna do it because we want to immortalize ourselves. So they're building, 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 building. They try to go out and etch their names into heaven, and then just like that, smited, right? Smited. They even have King Solomon. So King Solomon in the Bible, he was God's wisest king in the beginning. Super wholesome. He was like, God, all I want is just wisdom. And God was like, because that answer really, really pleased me, I will give you wealth and fame beyond your wildest imaginations. And for the first half of his life, he's just so wise, so wise, so wise. And then before you know it, he starts having more time, more power, more things. And then he's like, oh, yeah, let me get a second wife, or a third wife, or a fifth wife. Let me get an eighth wife. Let me get 300 wives. He ended up getting like 700 wives and 300 concubines. And after a while, he's like, I'm so wise. Like, it doesn't matter like what gods like these women believe. And in this story, it could be in actual God or like values, right? So if you're healthy and you're dating a girl and she's like drinking all the time, opposite values. He's like, oh, I'm so wise, I'm so powerful. None of this will actually affect me, right? He starts building and building and building and building. And then when you read like Ecclesiastics, which is essentially the aftermath of all of that, he's like, everything was good, but then I realized what's the point in all this? Because it's like there was literally a sweet spot, and then you miss the sweet spot, and then now it starts creating more stress, more pain. Like there's this quote in the Bible that says, uh, "Better one hand filled with peace than two hands filled with turmoil." Right? What is that sweet spot? Right? And I think over the past couple of weeks and months, I'm just kind of like exploring that. I'm like, what is that sweet spot? Because I've always thought the sweet spot is what social media and the world tells me this is the sweet spot. You make 10 grand a month. You need to make $1 million a year. You need to go ahead and have $10 million. Oh, but that person says his net worth is 50 million. Oh, I need to go ahead and have 50 million. But I'm like studying all of these like ancient classics, and they're like, especially like when they start writing them when they're older, because that's when things really, really get important. And he's like, all of it is just, it just turns in dust. Like it literally just becomes dust. And an annoying part is it becomes so massive where the annoying part is like, he was like saying in Ecclesiastes, he's like, why am I building all of these things to which I will die? I will give it to someone that's less wise than me. It could be my son, it could be my daughter, it could be some random person, it could be like a government, right? It's like, what was the point? It's like you go and buy a bunch of vegetables at the market and you shove it in your fridge. Like you have a certain amount of time before that vegetable like rots. Like, dude, I don't know. Like I sometimes I buy a lot of food and then I'm like, I can't finish it. So I either have to force myself to eat it, which gives me like gut problems, or like the vegetables just die and I just throw it off and I just feel like guilty because I was like, oh, that was a waste. So I started realizing that's like status, power, and money as well. So I'm like, what is a sweet spot? What is a sweet spot? And and then I started realizing, well, what's actually important, right? So actually, like I was like on this island and I was talking to this dude. He was super cool. He was like 60 years old. He had an eye patch, looked like a general like pirate. He was super healthy. It's like this old dude at the gym. I'm like chatting him up and I'm like, oh, what's your story? You're like super healthy. You're like the oldest guy in here. He's like, yeah, it's like I was in the army and I retired at 40 and I just started traveling and living life. I'm like, I mean, didn't your friends think you were crazy? He's like, I was like, I'm a simple guy. And I was like, well, like, didn't you want to make more money? He's like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, but like, man, the army was hard. I was like, well, what did you do? And he's like, well, yeah, I just explored Southeast Asia. Now, found a good like Filipino wife, have a kid, and yeah, like I just like wrestled my kid, and my kid's kind of funny because he thinks I'm his best friend, and I was like, what do you mean? He's like, he was like, I was wrestling with my son the other day, and like he was just like, yeah, Dad, you're my best friend, and I was like, damn, dude, that's freaking wealth, bro. That's freaking wealth, and I was like, but don't you want to make millions? He's like, no, I get paid 5 grand a month. It grows with inflation. I live in a very simple way of living. I actually have way more than I need in Asia. Like he has a beautiful family. His son thinks he's his best friend. And he's like, yeah, and it's like I actually can't spend 5 grand a month. Like I literally started investing in Bitcoin because I was just like, I don't know what to do with extra stuff. And I was like, damn, dude, like you literally just opted out and just like you look healthy. And I started realizing, I was like, who do I want to be? I was like, I want to be like this dude, bro. Eye patch in a gym, healthy, walking in nature. Like it was like 11 a.m. on a Wednesday, bro. And he's just like been doing this for years. And I was like, bro, you look generally like happy and healthy. And I was like, I want to be an old, healthy, happy dude where like my kids are like, oh, you're my best friend. Right. So I started seeing that there is like some type of sweet spot. Like, what is that sweet spot? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. So I think one of the reasons why you leave home is you want to find out the extremes, what that sweet spot is. So Buddha, before he became the Buddha, he left the palace and experience like extreme poverty, right? Um, you even have like Muhammad, peace be upon him. Like, what kind of bed did he sleep on? Like, here you have this prophet, so wise. Does he have any statues built after him? Does he have any, like, did he write like things to immortalize himself? Did he, bro, he just like slept on like straws, like a straw mat. And the biggest thing that I started realizing is, bro, wealth is amazing. I can't be like, hey, don't get wealthy. I had a lot of fun. And every now and then I'm like, yeah, this is freaking awesome. I'm gonna fly my mom and dad business class, and I'm over here like in economy with my like backpackers gear, pretend to be like homeless, like infiltrating. Yeah, bro. It's like what's that sweet spot? Like what's that sweet spot? And I think you have to play with the extremes to know what your sweet spot is. Some sweet spots are different than others. I can't say my sweet spot's the best because bro, people are different. But this pirate dude, bro, like he found his sweet spot. It's like peace in the home, healthy body, big beaming smile, 11:30 on a Wednesday, training. And in that moment, I was like, I just want to be like this old dude when I'm old, right? So yeah, bro, I think my mission right now, especially in this season of my life, is finding what that sweet spot is. Because I've seen other people that have missed that sweet spot and they're really paying the price. They're really, really paying that price. They might enjoy their life, but like you see it in their kids, right? So I don't know, bro. I also don't want to like judge anyone that's like doing something different than me either, because I know that could also come from maybe an insecurity inside my soul, right? So,
Mm.
bro, I don't know any answers, bro. Like I'm just like spitballing right now.
Well, I think I read in a book called Reality Transurfing, which is a very interesting book. I like it a lot. And the number one thing that stuck out to me was where it mentions life is like a pendulum, right? And
Mm,
we swing from one side to the other. And I do think when we go from extreme to extreme in different lives, we do find the balance. And I think the only time you'll struggle to find the balance is actually by never going to an extreme and staying in the middle, and from the middle trying to stay balanced, right? Trying to build yourself while having the perfect health routine, while maintaining the perfect relationships with your family, while having perfect work ethic on your business. Like that can be a little hard versus if you swing for 2 years where you just sacrifice everything, it's only work, you experience that incredible extreme type of life. And then once again, you swing to the other side and experience no work, self-reflection, connection with God. You then experience another completely different. And then you kind of swing back and forth until you find that equilibrium. Like for you and I, both of us, it's funny how you're 10 years older than me and we've lived a similar like trajectory of life. Like we're the spiritual, like kind of hippie, out in wilderness. You were in Bali. I was in, North America. And then we both like went down the whole, okay, what is success? And I'm honestly still on the beginning of my journey, but I had that quick, like, okay, how to network, power, status, what all this thing is. And then we both kind of went and found then the connection with God. But I think we had to have the extremes. I don't think we would have gotten there by trying to find balance from day one.
bro, and I'm so excited about your story, bro. I always tell you, like, I feel like I'm your biggest fan, but I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I was there, like in the beginning of the journey and just seeing like the origin story and like seeing your swings, bro. And it's like I'm like just super grateful to have you in my life and to kind of like share these stories because I think when we're older, these are the things that are going to be the most important, you know?
Yeah. So you talk about, which I appreciate that. Thank you. You talk about family being important, the adventures being important. What do you want?
Bro. I'll tell you what I want. I want to be able to just shit every day smoothly. I want like a smooth digestion. No, seriously. Like, so I was just like in the island. I checked in a vegan hostel, right? Because I went so extreme in the carnivore diet, like for so long, and my gut was like so inflamed. And like I was like drinking all this much, and I was like, man, it's like, and I was like making fun of all the people that were like vegans, and when I swang to the ends of the extremes, I was like, God damn, I'm gonna have to. ChatGPT is telling me I have to eat freaking soy. Are you serious? I was like, no. So I check into this hostel, and like they're like, what are you doing here? And I was like, man, to be honest, I just want like my goal while I'm here for like 20 days is I just want to be able to shit every single day. So initially it started off with that. I was like, my digestion is like heavy, bro. It's like whatever I eat, it's like I'll literally be constipated for like several days or a week, right? And and the more I started sitting on, I was like, why is that? Well, I'm like, okay, well, I have all this food and it's in front of me, so I'm gonna want to eat it. So I just shove food in my mouth, and then I feel like so heavy, and then I'm trying to like excrete it out before I fully like healed the gut, and then I started realizing that that's kind of like my life, bro. It's like I'm like spiritually constipated when what I actually want is initially peace in my digestion. And I was like, I want peace and lightness in my life, right? Where I saw it, dude, because it's like my ego's getting the best of me. I was like, oh, but I need to train. I need to get like 150 grams of protein. But it's like my digestion wasn't light, and here I was trying to go ahead and pack on more muscle, but like there was no peace in my gut. There was no peace in my stomach, and that was like a analogy for like my life, right? It's like making money always more cool, increasing net worth always more cool. But then I was like, okay, well, if my gut is essentially an analogy to my life, where in my life am I trying to scale that I'm still haven't created peace and lightness first, right? Because if I tried scaling my muscles before I created peace and lightness in my gut, you're looking at colon cancer, you're looking at a bunch of mess of things that can screw you up, right? If I'm trying to scale my income and my net worth, I haven't actually looked around and seen, okay, well, where in my life is actually heavy? Where is there no lightness and no peace where there actually should be? Maybe I should focus on that first before like growing, right? And you asked me what it is that I want. Initially, it started off as a joke, like, man, I just want to shit every day. But then it got deeper. I was like, no, I want lightness and peace in my stomach. And then I'm like, wait, no, actually, that's just a analogy for like right now in this stage of my life. Like, I just want lightness and peace in my relationships, in my health, in the people around me. Slow mornings, drinking the moments in with my mom and my dad while they're young and healthy and like funny because they're like hilarious people. Um, bro, I just want like pure lightness and peace in this area of my life, right? Health, relationships with you know a loving woman that creates more peace in my life than like just pain in ways of generating income, or even if I don't make income, that's fine too. Like more money isn't something that I'm trying to optimize for right now if it creates more heaviness. So right now, dude, just like everything, just lightness and peace, bro. In my friendships, right? Conversations, talking to you. I'm like, oh man, I gotta talk to Kane. I freaking miss him. Like every single time I talk to you, bro, it's like I love you, bro. Like I feel like there's like a lightness and peace to our friendship and our brotherhood. So yeah, bro, that's pretty much it. Lightness and peace.
Yeah. I appreciate you a lot. And I think something I've learned from you in the last 2 years is real, genuine relationships are actually one of the most rare things and things that you have to cherish. I made a post the other day on social media of 10 things that I've learned in the last 2 years. And one of those things was finding true friends is one in a million. And once you find them, keep them close. Because so many people have ulterior motives. The majority of people, we're out for ourselves. I'm not better than anybody. I know subconsciously when I do things, I'm also out for myself, right? We're human and we do that. But when you can find someone who like genuinely wants you to win and they want nothing more from you except the friendship that you guys have. And that's something I've learned from you a lot. And I see that in Shaq also. Like you guys are two people that I can like tell good news to and know like there won't be any like, oh, this, that's just like, that's amazing. But most people don't have someone in their life where they can call and say the good news. I heard this actually from Chris Williamson or maybe Alex Hermosi, was one of the two. We all have a lot of people we can call when times are hard, but you have a good friend when you can call when times are good and they're going to be happy for you. It's rare. And I know you've met more people than I have. You've met more successful people than I have. Have you noticed any patterns of finding genuine people?
Yeah, bro. And it's hard because one thing that happens with power, wealth, and status is it creates this envy tax, right? Where the more your perceived wealth is shown, the more it creates envy in the people around you, where subconsciously they want you to fail, right? Like, and it's just like human nature, bro. It's like I'll meet someone and like they're just crushing it, and I'm like, yeah. But then there's always this part of my mind where it's like you secretly want them to fail because, again, it's my own insecurities in myself, where it's like that person's better than me, and I don't want to accept that I suck. So I'm just I don't like that person, right? And it was like super super apparent when I was like younger. I think it quelled when I started getting older, but I still feel like, bro, I'm not perfect. Like to say that I don't feel like envy is just like ridiculous, right? But yeah, bro, it's that envy tax. And one thing that I realized with the genuine relationships that I found is usually it's almost like when you watch a TV show or a movie and you see someone that's overpowered, you tend to not like them when they're like showing it off, right? But then there's kind of like the overpowered person that pretends to be underpowered, right? And like people are just like walking all over them, and this person's just like laughing and smiling because like he doesn't really care. But if everyone knew like how powerful this person was, like they'd be like, oh, and then in your mind you're just like, yo, like why don't you show your power? Why don't you show your like power? Why like you're almost like angry that this person isn't like fighting back, but you also like respect that person because you're like, damn, that's rare. And like I was like reading Marcus Aurelius Meditations. He was like one of those guys where it's like he's the most powerful person, could do literally anything, and he's just like humble, right? Where it's like you have the ability to destroy someone, but you just don't. And that I think when that quality is there, you almost can't help but want something genuine with that person, right? I think that's like my north star that I'm trying to accomplish like right now. Like I'm trying to do that where Like I'll check into a hostel, bro, like $7 a night. And I'm like in this bunk and I'm like, what am I doing here? But then I'm like, but this is kind of funny, right? And I'm like in this dorm room, there's like 6, 8 other people here, and like I wake up and everyone's like, what are you doing today? And they're like, oh, I'm just gonna boil vegetables. And then they're like, oh, cool. And then they're always like, what's your social media? And I was like, I don't have any. Do you have WhatsApp? And I have this like burner phone, which is like all of like the relationships that I have where they don't know anything about me, bro. And I actually enjoy like building this like burner phone because I think eventually it might just become my main phone where everyone just knows me as like this like homeless dude that's just like freelancing on the side that that just boils freaking vegetables because of his gut issues and just walks like with his umbrella. Right? Like I check in into this like hostel in this island that's just like a different island from where I'm at. And bro, it's like I'm there like every month for like just 10 days. I have like all these like friends. We're like journaling. Like, what do you do? I'm like, oh yeah, it's like I'm just in between clients, but like, and then they see me just. Everyone has mopeds, bro. I don't even have a moped because I'm like getting like accidentally 12,000 steps a day just going to the fish market and back. And it's like this. I don't know. Maybe it's like an ego thing because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be funny when they find out who I am. But I also want to play the game to see how long I can make this last, where they just never find out, and that just turning into a genuine like relationship. And sometimes they're like so confused, bro. Like I'll do this. Like I started getting into yoga, right? Because I was like trying to optimize for digestion. And I realized when I do a lot of like boxing, martial arts, and fighting, it feeds like it's part of my brain that obviously like wants more and more and more and more. And I have a very addictive personality where I'll go to extremes or I'll train like jujitsu twice a day. But then yoga is funny because it's like the opposite. It's like slow. It's like how when you're training and you do something, the coach is like, oh, if you want to do an extra 10 pull-ups, go ahead and do it. Like I'll always be the first to be like, I'll do 50, like overachiever. Yoga is funny because every single time they're like, and if you feel like you're overexerting yourself and you want to just relax, it's okay. I'll just be like, all right, I'll just relax. And then my yoga coach is like, try harder. And I was like, no, like I'm tired. Like I'm just relaxing. And then but I'll be like talking, like I'll be like ordering something, right? So there's this white dude, he started this yoga place here in the part of Asia that I'm in. And like I hand him like the money and then I blink and within 2 minutes while we're like at the freaking cash register, we're going deep in like relationships, bro. Like I'm like, yeah, man. So it's like, what's it like uh, with having a business with your loving partner? How do you separate business and intimacy? And that's like 90 seconds into meeting him, and we're just like talking deep. There's like a line forming. We're just like broing up. He's like this older dude. I'm just like learning a lot. Line's like, hey, we're trying to get our freaking vegan bowl. I'm like, hey man, I'm just trying to talk to this dude. And we're just like bonding so deep. And it was like genuine like connection. Like I knew he owned the entire thing, but he didn't know who I was. And I'm just like curious, bro. I'm like asking questions. He gives me like a freaking bowl of free chicken. He's like, bro, here. And I was like, what, can I pay for this? He's like, no, just like here, bro. I was like, dude, you're freaking cool. So yeah, man, it's like, dude, it's so fun just creating genuine relationships where before you would want to kind of like see what do you have to offer the other person that will make you valuable. Like I always thought, oh, is it my money? Is it my power? Is it my status? Is it like my relationship with my woman? Like what can I offer to this person? Right. And dude, I'm like just in and out of these hostels, talking to these random cafe owners, and I'm just like genuinely curious, just asking them questions. And I'm like, wait, they genuinely still like me, even though I have nothing to offer them. that's weird. And bro, it's like the friendships on my burner phone is amazing, bro. Like they're like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. You guys want to go ahead and grab a coconut? We're just like doing things like it reminds me of what it felt like middle school summer, where those 2 months felt like an eternity, where like you just have your bicycle and you're just meeting up with random people because you just bump into them. Bro, that's like what I feel like right now, where it's like I literally have nothing to offer anyone that I meet, but like my presence in just listening and genuinely being curious in who they are. And just doing that, bro, like I've been having like some really deep friendships and genuine connections. They know nothing about me, bro. Like I'm just that dude that like gets a freaking salad bowl, same thing, or just boils freaking potatoes and eats them like a maniac without anything, just like with a fork, right? Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that I buy into what's kind of in the manosphere where it's like, I'm not going to be friends with someone unless they provide value to me. I understand it's nuance, right? It's not a black or white.
Yeah.
Yes, in a networking situation, if you do want to bridge connections, you have to be a valuable person. I talked about this recently. But I think when it comes to like real, authentic relationships, it comes to a point past that. So I'll look at a lot of these millionaires I know who are, everybody wants that life that they have. I think very few of them have relationships where it's like super authentic and they just enjoy each other's time. And then I'll look at like my parents' relationships that they have in like their local community, right? And it's not like people are friends with my mom because she's a nurse. It's like they're not like they're subconsciously like, oh, if there's a health issue, I've got FOSHA.
Your
I don't
mom's
even
in the
know.
corner, like, yeah,
Yeah,
nurse.
let me network here. But it's like they're just friends because they appreciate each other's time. And I think we get benefits from having relationships with people where there is nothing attached to it, because we can also then like feel we can be our transparent self. Like if our relationships are always kind of like business transactions, we always feel we have to hold up the image of who they think I am, when in the reality we're five different people to five different people. And when you
Mm,
have those relationships where it's like you're not trying to prove yourself, you're not trying to use a value proposition, you're just you then end up finding people who like you authentically for who you are and not the person they think you are because of what you have.
mm. Do you think the secret of life is you go ahead and experience an extreme and then just like disappearing? Like, it just like everyone's just like, where did Canyon go? Like, and then you're just like back in, your hometown, like selling freaking like wallets at a local fair,
Yeah.
secretly making millions, and everyone's just like, "Hey, kid," and you're like trying to go ahead and really sell these wallets. Like, what do you think?
It's a great question. So a belief that I hold really firmly, and I've developed this over the last 2 years, is life is not linear. It's not a black or white. It's not a right or
Yeah,
wrong. I think there's a bunch of different ways to live a happy life, to be a successful person, to be fulfilled. And I think a lot of it comes from balance. So, I can say like I've got this mission. I want to help people, and That's the main reason I'm on social media, is because I want to kind of show people what I did
yeah.
and hopefully inspire more people to do the same. But then also, yeah, I do like kind of fantasize sometimes about like I'll just go like live in a mountain for 3 months and just I'll like camp, I'll fish, I'll get trout from the lake, and I'll cook them over my
Oh,
fire. Like I do plan on doing that. But how I look at it is I think it's, don't tie yourself to one thing and think the
yeah.
life I'm living right now is who I have to be. Like, who knows? Mike in 5 years might be back out on the yachts, right? Like, he might be like, who is this dude? And
So
that's fine,
true.
right? And that's fine. We just have to allow ourselves to detach, be like, who I am right now doesn't have to define the person I'm going to be forever.
Yeah. One thing's for sure, I want to be like this old dude at the gym. Like, I really generally think like, I was throwing this in a chat GPT and I was like, is this dude like the winner of life? Like, is this is this the guy that won the game? Where to be an old dude, healthy at a gym on a Tuesday? Like how many old dudes at a gym on a Tuesday, like super healthy and vital? Like, do you know? Like, you know how they say there's more people that have $1 million than a six pack, so a six pack is more valuable than $1 million because it's just more scarce. I
Yeah.
haven't seen much like old dudes at the gym where like their kids like, you're my best friend. Like, is that even more rare than a six pack? If he also had a six pack,
I think it is. I think there's an order of importance, right? Like I look at, it's a very slippery slope if you say money is not important, because that's not true.
yeah,
And
yeah,
usually once we've made a bunch of money and we're like all up on our high horse,
yeah,
money. No,
yeah.
you don't
Money
need
doesn't buy
money.
happiness.
Does, but like money solves money problems, right?
Yeah,
But money doesn't solve basic health problems, right? It doesn't solve you going to the gym. It doesn't solve your relationship problems. So I'll put the question on to you, kind of back to the balance. If he is the complete man, he has succeeded in life. How do we, on square one, get money, keep our health, and our relationships? How do we manage to have it all?
join the army, bro. Retire at 40. I'm like, damn it. I'm like comparing myself to him now. Like now, my like villain is like this old dude at the gym. I was like, damn it, I should have joined the army, bro. But yeah, like, bro, like I don't know, bro. I think maybe it's like in a stage of life thing where it's like in your teenage years and in your early 20s, it's like you just have to go ahead and like go through a lot of pain and focus primarily on money. That's because like that's what I did. And as you get older, you almost you almost need to see when it's time to make the transition, because obviously you can't be like the 80-year-old at the yacht with like a bunch of, you know, like people drinking around you. Like I think it's just understanding where you are in life and what season does it call for, and also understanding that there's also seasons made for pruning, which it kills like a lot of the excess in your life. And then there's seasons of planting, and then there's seasons of maybe overgrowth where it's like, oh wow, and then it's pruning again. And I think it's like, I think it's just life is like very cyclical, and just because you enjoy spring doesn't mean it's always going to be spring. But also, just because you don't like winter doesn't mean it's always going to be winter. Which phase do you think you're in right now? Do you think you're in spring? Are you planting in the fall, or is it summertime for Canyon?
Bro's turning it
Did,
back on me.
did you
Uh,
did you just have a winter?
I I've actually been very proactive on trying to live in spring, like always live in spring. I try really hard to have a balance of like, I don't believe you have to sacrifice anything to actually have everything. I think you just have to be really diligent about how you spend your time. Like I do think someone on square one can become financially successful, have good relationships, have their health, and have their time. You just have to be really smart with how you allocate it, is my belief.
Mm. Dude, that's amazing that you already know that, bro. Like you're already like light years ahead, bro. There's two villains that I have that I'm like, damn it, I wish I was smart as them. It's this old dude at the gym, and bro, Canyon at freaking 19, 18, smart enough to just like full send it and just like go to random countries, bro.
I learned from the best. I I have a closing question that I
Yeah.
do on this podcast. If you had a microphone and you could speak into this microphone and every single person in the world would hear what you have to say, what would you say?
You hear that? You hear that silence? I probably want them to just observe that silence. And then through that, they would kind of start going through the journey of like being still, you know? Like, I don't think it's something that I would have to tell people, but kind of like how there was like 10 seconds of like awkward silence and you kind of like felt the void, for them to almost like experience that themselves. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not going to be their teacher, bro. It's like, it's going to be their relationship with that silence and ultimately themselves that will essentially move them in the direction that is that they want.
Thank you for the conversation, Mike.